All the pre-check. But now we're recording. So hello again. I'm Kimmy McBurney. I feel like I know most of you, so happy to see you guys all again. But again, I'm just here to reintroduce myself because you guys signed up for a Google class, and you're probably like, why the heck do I care what a home inspector has to say about Google? So I always say that I only teach what I know, right? I'm self-taught. I am a small business owner like your guy, like yourselves, right? We are all, self-employed at the end of the day. So really we are tasked with managing our own social medias. Um, Google in particular, I invested a lot of time in because I didn't want to pay a bunch of money to have somebody else do it. I'm sure you guys have all gotten quotes on running Google ads or pay-per-click or local service ads, and it's just astronomical. And a lot of them also come with kind of like continuous monthly maintenance fees. It was ridiculous. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to figure out how to do it myself, which is the beauty of things like social media and Google. You can do them yourself, right? They're meant to be consumer products. So it's funny, someone years ago advertised in Nashville that they were the highest rated home inspector on Google. I was like, don't know what that is, but that sounds cool. Challenge accepted. How do I get that? Right. It's self-proclaimed, but essentially it's the highest amount of Google ratings and the highest average Google rating. I am now proud to say that we are the highest rated home inspection company on Google. So just goes to show that with like a little bit of elbow grease, and some good old-fashioned hard work, you can be there as well, and be prominent in the space. And you guys especially have a challenge because, home inspection companies, I would say, soaking wet, there's probably 10 to 15 primary companies, where obviously real estate agents, I always say soaking wet, this market has probably about 3,500. So but there is definitely a way to stand out. I will share some examples of a case study. One of my good friends is a realtor. She's in Gainesville, Georgia, but essentially the Atlanta metro area, and she has used these tips and tricks to gain free leads from Google. She does not pay for Google advertisement, but has verified Google leads. So it's possible for anyone. Don't feel like you're behind the ball at all. There's still room and proverbial real estate to be had in the SEO world. So, really quickly, it's not letting me click. There we go. Before we get started, I've got to give the commercial. So again, we are a home inspection company. Wanted to let you guys know we have some new stuff going on. We now have a radon mitigation division. So if you guys need mitigation estimates or quick mitigation during due diligence, et cetera, please let us know. And I'd love the opportunity to provide an estimate. And then we also do septic inspections and pumping. We have our own pump truck, so that's very exciting. So you guys know, we don't have to call a bunch of people and coordinate a bunch of different vendors. We can do it all in house. And we were very fortunate. We are now, we also won the Best of WNC 2025. So that's 2 years in a row. Very proud of that. So please let us know how we can serve you in home inspection space. But today's agenda. So I would love, let me get out of this really quick because I need to see the chat. Please let me know in the chat. This is kind of like 101. So let me know if you don't have a profile, if you have a profile, but you haven't really set it up yet, or you have a profile and you've been using it. So maybe type a 1 if you don't have a profile, a 2 if you have a profile but you haven't really set it up, like you literally just have the profile, or 3 if you've kind of have some experience and you're dabbling. Oh, good, lots of ones. Okay, no Google profiles. I like it. 2, I got a 2, I got a 3. Threes. Okay, so this is perfect. So ones, you are absolutely in the right place. We are going to go from ground zero and walk through every step. For my 2s and 3s, you're still in a good place because on each step, I'll let you know that it's like, hey, if you've already done this, let's go back and see how we can optimize all of those features of Google. I also recommend to you, I actively we run Google local service ads. I was teaching this class last week, and I was teaching about how to kind of bolster this one section. And I realized that since the last time I updated it, Google added another field. So you never know. You always want to be checking, you always want to be updating your Google profile. So even if you're a number 3 and you have your profile and you've optimized it, let's revisit some of that and see if we can do a little bit more. And Joseph Ruiz, um, that's a good question. So you would have to find your Gmail that it would have been associated with. You would log in. So you can like Google Business Profile login and see if you can find a Google account. But either way, we can circle back on that too, but hopefully I'll answer some of your questions. So thank you guys for sharing that in the chat. Okay, back to this. So again, we're going to talk very briefly about why Google matters because most of you obviously know it matters. You're here talking about Google for realtors specifically. I cater this to realtors because yes, I'm a home inspector, but I have studied up to translate this to realtors because again, I'm here to serve you guys in hopes that you can earn business and, and then in turn use us for home inspections. But again, it's about getting you guys business because that's where it all starts. Talking about how Google helps you, getting set up on Google, tips and tricks. So those are for my 2s and 3s. And then what's next? So really important, really quickly, this is a 3-part series. So today is Google 101, getting set up. You guys will notice at the bottom of the screen, I'm hosting it 2 more times in both Hendersonville and Asheville, or sorry, not 2 more times, 2 more levels. So the next round in February is getting more Google reviews. That's so critical. I'm going to teach you how we got to the highest rated home inspection company in Asheville. A lot of that was done quote unquote manually. I do now use some paid services, which I can share those as well, but getting Google reviews, right? So today we're setting up the profile. Then we're going to go into how can we get Google reviews and get some kind of optimized exposure for your business page. And then the grand finale, I actually have a guest speaker, Sefton Patton of Patton Allen Real Estate. Oh, sorry, allow recording. Sorry, it's asking me if I want to record. Sefton Patton Allen Real Estate. I actually watched him teach this to his agents, and I asked, would you please share this with the greater agent community in Asheville because it was such an incredible lesson. So he is teaching you guys how to DIY Google Ads. He specifically teaches also how to do them for properties. So if you have a listing and you want to boost and get some extra attention and want to pay for your own Google Ads for your listing, come to that 3rd class. So the next class I absolutely recommend is getting more Google reviews and optimizing your profile for exposure. And then that 3rd one is Google Ads for agents. So please use the QR code. It's on our Eventbrite. Please pre-register and mark your calendar so I can see you guys back for that. Cool. All right, now we can finally get into it. If Google can't find you, your clients can't either. I heard a really powerful example. So it was an influencer on social media. So I do a lot of social media, right? Lots of pictures, lots of videos, which is great. And Google can understand those to some degree. But Google at the end of the day is a computer. ChatGPT is a computer. Unless you tell them information, they don't necessarily understand your video and photo contributions. So really making sure we're telling Google who we are so that it can put us in front of people. 92% of people are finding people online or, using search to find businesses. 97% of internet users perform online searches to find businesses. 92% of basically all global search engines are under Google's purview right now. They own YouTube and they pull from everything. If you go on Google right now, basically the video tab is all Instagram and YouTube and TikTok. So it's pulling all the internet there. And then, like I said, basically 100% of people are using online searches to find people. So again, why does this matter? So showing up in Google search and on Google Maps is what's going to make a difference for your business and put you in front of buyers and sellers. It's building instant credibility with reviews. That's social proof. Anybody here? I'm going to go back to the chat. I'm going to risk going back over there. Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think social proof is in regards to Google? What do you do if you're going to try a new restaurant? Anybody? Look alive. Look at the reviews, right? Exactly. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go on Yelp or something else, or like I said, Google. I 100% use it as a social proof. I want to make sure there's something tangible, right? Make sure they have an online presence, that they have some reviews. I want to read a couple reviews. It's definitely helpful to judge the credibility of a business. So you have to have an online presence. It's not negotiable. I know some people aren't super keen on, Facebook or Instagram or their privacy, but at the end of the day, if your business does not have a presence online, you don't exist, right? Because most of us cannot or are not found through our physical presence, at our brokerage or wherever it may be. So number three, making it easy for people to call or text you. I know you guys get a lot of spam. I get it too. But I've been frustrated when I've tried to find a realtor for whatever reason. If I can't find your phone number or whatever, they can't either. And most businesses are not going to get the traction they want with generic information intake forms. So making sure that through Google, there's a way for them to contact you. And there's ways to protect yourselves. You can use a Calendly link or some sort of other chat. But at the end of the day, really having a good old fashioned phone number connected is super helpful. So again, helping you stand out, getting you free leads, building this awareness is what's going to get you more clients and get you in front of people. So something that we can kind of follow along, especially if you already have your business profile, I would recommend. So your Google business profile can be managed 100% from your phone, which I feel like is one of the easiest ways to do it. So it's the Google Maps app. So not a lot of people know this, but you can either do it on the web-based or on your Google Maps app. So this is mine. There's my house right there if you zoom all the way in over there in Horseshoe. But this is our business, right? So right here, I can edit my profile, I can advertise, I can manage my reviews. Like on reviews, I get push notifications. So it's really important that that's how I can stay up to date. I can respond very quickly because they say you should respond in 48 hours or less. So making sure you're responding to Google reviews, you can add photos, change your hours, services, all those things. So know that if you're on your computer, that might be something handy to pull up your Google Maps app and see if you can get logged into your business account so we can kind of do questions along the way. So here we go. We're going to get into the nitty gritty. So how to set up your Google business profile. I want to make sure I can see the chat. I don't think I can. Okay, sorry. Let me toggle back. Okay. So go to Google. Every time I go to Google, I just search on Google. I don't really ever know anyone's web address anymore. So I go into Google and I'm going to search Google Business Profile. So if you don't have one, and this is a screenshot of what it's going to look like, you're going to click on Start Now. And I will share these slides, so you're welcome to follow along, or if you'd like to watch first and then kind of tap around, that's fine, whichever is easiest for you. So another tip I want to use for real estate agents, use an email that you're going to keep long-term. I know we all love our brokerage, but at the end of the day, it's inevitable that people switch brokerages. You don't want to be tied to that brokerage, or you don't want them to have ownership of that email and that access to the Google profile. So you can absolutely hide like if you just use your personal Google email, you can always hide that email and use a different forward-facing email. So you can change that to different brokerages, but make sure you want to be able to make sure you own that. A tip I also heard was having that consistent amongst profiles. If you can change that. So for example, mine is like kimmymcburney@gmail.com, right? That's my go-to. I want to try and have that on as many profiles as possible as a registered email. So Google, Instagram, Facebook, the more places you can use that as your primary registered email, the better, because that's how Google's going to recognize you across platforms. If you're using a different email on every platform, it's not going to necessarily know the difference. So that's my first tip. Use a personal Google email and make sure it's consistent. So, and it's still not too late. You can always change that. But one thing I will say about changes is Google is fairly sensitive. If any of you are in Google jail, aka Google suspension, sometimes it's if you change too many things at once. So be cognizant of that during this presentation. Let's not change everything, but kind of focus and prioritize. So making sure you have an email that's yours and you own. So next up is entering your business name. So again, wanting to go for continuity across all platforms. So try your best to use this in all different places. I did some research recently because I was on ChatGPT, asked them who the best home inspector in Asheville was. And I'm embarrassed to say we didn't even rank. And I was kind of like, trying to do a deep dive. And a lot of the advice I found was making sure your business name is consistent. So your Instagram handle or your Instagram name, making sure it matches. So my utmost recommendation and the research that I have done has proven that it's name plus realtor, because I have heard that your name and realtor need to be tied to each other, as opposed to, so if I'm Kimmy McBurney, realtor, Asheville or Hendersonville, whatever it may be. I usually recommend Asheville because even if you're in Hendersonville, you know people are looking at the greater Asheville area. So Kimmy McBurney, Realtor, Asheville, because you cannot put Kimmy McBurney, Asheville Realtor. You know, you're kind of inferring that you're the Asheville realtor. And I know NAR has kind of cracked down on that. So making sure you put your name plus realtor. And realtor, again, I've done a lot of research on realtor versus real estate agent versus real estate broker. Realtor reigns supreme. So, and then the recommendation too on the second line is if you do have a brokerage or a team name, feel free to put that in there as well. But short, sweet, keep it your name, realtor, and your area or location. Be sure you're not doing keyword stuffing like above the recommendation is like best realtor in Asheville. Can't do that. It's got to be your name and realtor, the word realtor, I would highly recommend in your area or location. And again, those can be changed. Sorry, I'm going to pop back over to the chat really quick just to make sure you don't have any questions. So we should create a new email. Possibly, yes. If you are using your brokerage email, I would recommend investing the time to get a generic personal email and replacing it. Because like I said, long term, you don't want to ever get locked out of your Google business profile if the brokerage locks you out of email potentially. All right, moving on. Choose the right category. This one should be abundantly clear. But real estate agent, they also do allow subcategories. I think there's over like 4,000 subcategories on Google. So make your primary real estate agent. I like real estate consultant. I personally don't recommend real estate agency unless you are, in fact, an agency or have a firm license. But there are other subcategories. There's one on there for commercial real estate. So again, my recommendation to with Google is use everything they give you. Every field should be responded to if you have an appropriate response. You know, if they allow you multiple categories, let's use multiple categories. Okay, this is probably where I see real estate agents get hung up the most. Address. Let's just call it address. So a lot of people have issues. You know, a lot of us are with an EXP or a Keller Williams, where you share your office with probably 400 other real estate agents. So, first and foremost, a lot of you may have gotten bounced if you tried to use that brokerage address because the brokerage itself probably owns that address. For example, like I said, I was talking with Pat and Alan about Google, they own their address. So when their agents try and request it, Google automatically gets an error message like saying, oh, nope, there's already a business there. So a couple tips and tricks. If you really are dead set on using the brokerage address, I have heard that using a suite number, so essentially making up a suite number, so suite B or C or A or 1 or 2, whatever it may be, that may give you the opportunity to use that address. But something I would actually encourage, and like I said, most of my research has kind of told me this, that they actually encourage you to use your home address. Because again, a lot of you on here, if any of you are in Google jail, you may be there because of address verification. You can absolutely hide your home address. That's what I have for a lot of my businesses is I'm registered to my home address, but it's hidden. So no one can actually see my home address. It's just going to show up generically. And then I can tell Google what my service areas are. I actually recommend that. For example, I said earlier, I live in Horseshoe. You know, if somebody's searching Asheville, they are going to get kind of an oversaturated bubble of realtors, right? I don't think anyone's standing out because they're actually physically placed in Asheville. You know, sometimes I think if you are in an outlying community, you may have a better chance of standing out if you are an outlier. So I absolutely do use my home address and then I cater my service areas. So for you guys, like I said, I would recommend your home address, especially if it's for verification, because it's just going to make it a lot easier. And I don't think there's any strategic advantage to having the brokerage address because you can always tell clients, like, right, I don't think anyone's Googling you and then showing up at the address without telling you they're coming or having a conversation first. So I think there's always an opportunity to redirect after that. What was I going to say? So that's key. So again, here, I heard that Google is moving away from the postcard verification. I do think it still exists in some regard, but a lot of the verifications that I'm seeing now are having to do a Google video verification, which I have an example video in a little bit that I'll share you guys. But let me know. And sorry, I'm going to check the chat again. PO box. I'm not sure if they let you, I don't think they let you use PO boxes. Again, there shouldn't be a privacy concern. I would use the Fletcher, Michelle, and hide it. And then you just change your service area. So there should be no reason why you have to expose your actual personal address. So yeah, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll make sure I circle back at the end. So this is where it's important, right? So adding your service areas, they're always changing, but I think they allow you up to almost 30. So making sure you have use all of those service areas. For personally, Allied Home Inspection serves like a 2-hour radius of Asheville. I imagine a lot of you probably have that same radius, right? We don't want to go 2 hours away, but we want to kind of cast that wide net so we can capture everybody in the greater WNC area. So I put all of the counties or the surrounding counties, right? Buncombe, Hendersonville, Haywood, Madison, depending on where you want to be, put the counties first and foremost, because I think those are far reaching, and then put some nuanced places. Like if you're Michelle and you live in Fletcher or I live in Horseshoe, you can choose a couple select cities that you would like to focus on. So maybe cities around your area, making sure Asheville's on there, just having those service areas to make sure that people know and that Google knows where to present you. And like I said, I do love some nuance. Like I love a Horseshoe or a Tryon or somewhere that's a little bit more specific, because again, if your competitors don't have that listed, you've got a chance of standing out. So do have some nuanced ones in there, but then make sure you have the counties in there as well. And then adding your contact information. So this is where you should be able to put a forward-facing address if you do want to put a different address there, or a phone number and a website. Again, I think the biggest tip for this is making sure there's continuity across all platforms. So making sure you have the same phone number. If you don't want to use your personal phone number, Google Voice, you could use the Google Voice number to have that as a routing, put that everywhere, because that can always change at a later date, or you can always turn the app off if you want to have some quiet time. So having continuity across all platforms is super important, especially for Google. That's how it's going to know and recognize you and be able to position you. Putting your website or having a website, I think, is important. And then also linking it to your social profiles, because that's going to tell Google, again, this is the same person, they own these accounts, they can use all that data to present you to clients in the best way possible. So next, verifying your profile. So again, this is what I was going back to with the address. Once you submit all these things, Google will ask you to verify. You could be one of the few that Google's just like, I believe you, and lets you pass go and collect your $200. But some businesses, like I said, they are getting away from it, but they will send a postcard to the address on file. So making sure you have access to that address, obviously. And then they're also doing video. That's one I hear most lately. I want to share this video really quick. Let me see if it'll let me click on it. I don't know if it's going to let me. So there was a girl on Instagram, and she's like walking around her business. She's like, this is my business. And it literally recommended, like, have your key in hand, like show it operating the door. Like you may have to go to that length, or if it's your house, I mean, that's pretty easy, right? You're going to start out on the street. You're going to do like a selfie type video. You want to make sure you can showcase the address, and then show that you have access to the property. They specifically said, like, check the mailbox, hers was a locked mailbox. So that made a lot of sense, but video verification is what I see a lot. Again, don't skip this. You can't skip it, and don't delay it. Really try and just jump on it. But feel free. I'm going to go back and check the chat. How do you hide it? Holly, we'll look at that in a little bit and see if I can refresh my memory on that. But yeah, that's how you should be able to get through the verification. All right, let's keep going. And then writing your business description. So again, making sure you are utilizing all of the capability of Google. So again, we want to clearly state our role as a real estate agent, add any nuance or niche information. So if you have a specific type of client that you specialize in, if you do any multiple languages, anything you can do, keeping it professional, clear, concise, using most of the characters. I think they allow you 750. Like I said, try and use a lot of that. try not to overly word stuff with SEO. So Google's going to penalize you if you're like, I'm the best Asheville realtor and I live in Asheville and I love selling real estate in Asheville and real estate in Asheville is the best. And I just really can't say enough about how I love real estate in Asheville. Right. So it's like, clearly we're going for real estate in Asheville, but they're going to tag you if you do a little bit too much of that. Again, also try not to use AI if you need to kind of start with ChatGPT. What I always do is I have the ChatGPT open and then I make myself rewrite the sentence. Like, okay, I really like what it's trying to say, but I need to put that in my own words so that it's not going to get flagged for AI. Because as you guys know, Google is wising up to AI content. So making sure you have original content. And that actually goes into my next topic and tip on photos and activity. This, when I conclude this checklist, I'm going to go into Google and show you guys some profiles. I'll show you my profile, and then I'm also going to show you the girl I was talking about who's in the Atlanta area and show you what she does. Photos show activity and credibility. I actually heard a really cool thing that somebody said specifically in regards to real estate agents. We all love our professional listing photos from WNC Real Estate Photography. It's fantastic. But I actually really highly recommend when it comes to Google to try and use phone photos and videos, and I'll tell you why, and make them unique. So why we want to use phone photos and videos and not professional videos. I mean, you can still use your professional videos, but try really hard. Like if it's a listing, try and take some decent cell phone photos when you're there, and have like a stock of like 30 of them, just so you have unique photos for your phone. Your phone has tons of metadata. Your phone is literally telling that photo or storing in the metadata of that photo where the photo was taken. So Google can verify that you were there, you're a real person, it's where you said it was. And then it can also verify, the day, the time, so knowing that it's recent content. Unfortunately, sometimes professional photos that can get scrubbed because they are so high quality, they take out a lot of the metadata because it's not necessary, right? So using your phone to do unique photos. Another reason why I said take 30 of them or make sure they're unique. If you use the same photo, so if I've taken a cover photo of the house and I post it on Instagram and I post it on Facebook and I post it on Google, Google's going to know that. It's going to recognize that it's the same photo, and it's going to kind of ding you because it's like, oh, you're just giving me content I already have. Yeah, I have access to Instagram. I have access to Facebook. Like, you're just regurgitating information. So trying to use unique photos. So that's why I say have 30 of them, because if you have a particular listing, maybe 30 is excessive, but like 10. If you have a particular listing and you want to post multiple times on Google about it, that's great. But if you can use a unique photo every time, that's the ultimate recommendation. But this is really more so profile setup. I'll get into posting house pictures in a second, but making sure your profile, I do recommend your main profile picture be the same. So if you have a headshot, making sure that's consistent across all platforms, like your username, you want to make sure Google recognizes you everywhere. And same with everybody else, right? Businesses have a logo or have branding for a reason because you need to be able to recognize them across multiple platforms. So making sure your base profile is set up with a photo of your business. I'll show you ours in a minute. It's got our team photo, it's got some of our headshots, and then it's got some pictures of the services we perform. So making sure you at least have your base profile set up. And then I definitely want to teach you guys how to utilize photo updates. Here, I'm gonna see this one right in the chat. Yes or no? Did you know that you can post regular updates in Google? Yes or no? Yes, no, no. Ooh, you guys, this is gold. This is probably, and I'll show you how I've used it in my business, and I'll show you how the realtor. I think the daily, not daily posting, but the updated posting is probably 75% of her strategy on how she does it on Google. Troy, I like it. You got that this morning. So lots of no's. So, okay, I'll tell you guys in a second. Yes, Randall, you can do the photos after a setup. Thank you, Amanda, for clarifying. There's a simple toggle option to turn off. Randall, did you literally just get verified? I like that. Okay, let me go back to my presentation, and then we're going to do some case studies in just a second. So uploading photos again. So in this context, I'm referring just to your like stock or your like main business profile photos, but I'll show you how to do updates in a second. And then last but not least, making sure you're turning on messaging and calls. So again, on the left-hand side, I have the screenshot of how I manage our business on my phone through the Google Maps app, which is just strange, but that's where it lives. And then on the right is how you can do your Google business profile on the computer. So again, kind of same functionality, but what I'm going to teach you guys for the post updates, I think it's really important to do from your phone because it's really arduous to like take a photo of a house, then I gotta like upload it to my computer. But if you can do these things live when you're in the field, it's much more impactful. Before I do that, let me stop sharing for just a second. Any questions for right now before we dig into the examples and some case study? All right, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm going to go to the case study really quick. Sorry, one second. I'm going to share. We'll just share the entire screen. All right, cool. So 2 profiles again. So here's mine. So here's Allied Home Inspection. Again, this is where I can do a lot of things. I can edit my profile. So again, when you're editing your profile, this is something good to just check in with every once in a while, making sure you have all of the things filled out, right? All the categories, all the descriptions. At some point they added a chat feature. So making sure your phone number is up to date, making sure your website's there, making sure I linked my social medias, my business location. So here's the service areas that I have chosen. And again, don't really overthink it. But again, I've got the big counties in there and I've got some key cities. Business operating hours. So I've heard differing schools of thoughts. Some people are like, oh, make it 24 hours because, to be frank, we work 24 hours. But now Google is starting to crack down on, realistic expectations. So I know a lot of realtors will do 8 to 8 or 7 to 7, whatever your business hours are. And actually recently I heard the tip from a realtor, if you do accept client appointments, maybe not on Christmas or Thanksgiving, but on Martin Luther King Day, or a lot of times Google will email you and say, hey, are you open on President's Day or whatever. So a lot of them find a benefit in saying yes, because on those particular holidays, they would field calls and stuff. So recently I went through and even marking these options, right? It asks me if there's an appointment required or not. And then I went through and shows all the languages that we offer. So again, Google thrives on information and it doesn't have information unless you give it to them. So making sure you update all of your profile nuances. And then, so photos. So this is what I'm talking about when I said like stock photos. These are ones that I've chosen. You get to choose which is your default photo. So I chose one of our team photos. But again, you can see here that I added a lot of photos, our headshots, kind of some action shots. It will pull from other sources. Like this photo in particular, I know is actually from a Google review. So know that those can end up there as well. But again, just kind of giving it some flavor and telling people who we're about, telling you what we do. I have a lot of our services in there. So again, making sure you at least have a couple stock photos on your profile that are going to show up as just your default profile. But then posts. So this I do get into a little bit on round 2, but I think it's appropriate to share here. So you can post in your Google profile. So if I was going to post, I would go here and click post, or it's also in your Google Maps app. So again, because that's going to be easier with pictures. So what I do, again, we don't give any personal information, but we do want to advertise our services. So we will post generic photos, of MLS listings, so publicly available properties. We will have our inspectors take a unique photo, usually from the street. And then I'll put, Lester inspection today covered all the essentials and more. Sorry, now it's going to go slow. This property received a full residential inspection along with test, well, septic, including a septic pump out, plus radon testing and a premium water test. Why do you think I typed all that? Do I think anyone really cares? No. But I am responding and kind of using keywords, right? Again, I'm not stuffing. I didn't say pest inspection 15 times, but I want to make sure that I'm providing content that's going to be SEO rich so people can find us. So I am posting. This was one of the biggest tips that I think has transformed our Google presence and the one of the realtor I'm going to show you. We post almost every single business day. As you can see here, the evidence of posting often. For real estate agents, at minimum, I think I would recommend you guys post twice a week. So going to my friend, her case study, I think she wins. She only has 29 reviews. So meaning, she probably does 50 transactions a year. It's not about having 50 Google reviews for the 50 transactions you did. Recent content can win. You guys are up against real estate teams who have 700 Google reviews. Doesn't matter. If you have more recent content and if you have more recent reviews, you can outrank other people because people are going to be searching for recent information. So I'll show you some examples of what Jessica posted here in just a second, but using this post feature is key, and giving Google unique SEO rich content is really important. So again, I won't get too much into advertising because again, we're going to do the advertising in the part 3 of the seminar, but making sure you guys have all the things, right? Asking for a Q&A, having a booking link. So I think ours is, so we have a booking on our website. So I have that there for you guys. I highly recommend Calendly links. Calendly just seems to be the most generic. There are free versions of Calendly. So for some people, I was recommending you can get the paid version and tie it into your calendar and do all these fancy things. But I would recommend picking some generic time slots, like Monday 1 to 4 and Wednesday 9 to 10, 9 to 11 a.m. Because if people can go on and book something, you're 10 steps ahead. Even if you can't fulfill that request, we want to at least give them the opportunity. That is why Zillow makes so much money, right? You guys have seen it. They're clicking on that link to book a showing right now. They picked a time they can book a showing. That's why I think Zillow gets so much traction, is because it's instant gratification, right? Unfortunately, we're all of a new generation. We don't like talking on the phone, or I'm just speaking for myself, right? People want instant gratification. They want a result. So making sure you have some sort of booking link. Worst case, you message that person and say, oh, I'm so sorry, that just got booked, or I've got to do a different day. But making sure you have some way for them to book for you is really important. So, before I'm going to go check the chat again. Sorry, I really wish I knew how to show it to myself. Where'd you guys go? I was on Google as a new agent because I post daily. See, you guys, it's free. You can do it. It's easy. So I love that. Okay, so I'm going to show you really quick Jessica's profile. So again, this is my good friend Jessica. She is out of Gainesville, but like I said, she's in the Atlanta area. So she actually started teaching on Google and it's a lot of where I got a lot of my research from was her actual case study. So again, she's experienced, I think she's been doing it for over 10 years. I know she kind of came in and out of real estate. Last year alone did 50 transactions. She said of the 50, 10 were from Google and they were not paid leads. So a couple of things she's doing, like I said, she doesn't have a ton of reviews, but I've read some and, she does have a handful that are recent. So as long as your reviews are trickling in, I think that's really important. And we'll cover more about reviews in the next seminar. But she does work out of an office building. So she did choose to show her address. Having a phone number is really important. She's got that Calendly link, so I can book with her right away if I wanted to. Favorable reviews. If you guys need a good example, her description is very short and sweet, right? It doesn't have to be too long. But here's that secret sauce that I was talking about. She posts frequently. Again, this is unique content. Do not reuse your social media content here. It doesn't translate, right? This is where you guys all get to post our beloved under contract, right? You guys work really hard for your under contracts and you're just sold. This is a great place to showcase those. Again, I love that it's a selfie. She's got her face in it. This is not a professional photo. This is a unique cell phone photo. And then her kind of pro tip is she watermarks it. So what she really did was just in Canva, she puts a photo of her logo, Jessica Wade Realtor, on the photo and then just removes the background. So it looks like what we would know as a watermark, but it's just her photo. So again, she's watermarking every photo on Google because when she posts them, if Google reuses that or presents that to somebody, she wants to make sure that she's got ownership of that. And then, right, she's excited for her sweet buyers, helping them find their forever home, stuff like that. And she's got some hashtags. But again, here's another one. This may not even be her listing, right? If we are sharing someone else's listing, we want to make sure we have approval. She does share the MLS number. But again, right, sharing some keywords. So a lot of this is great for real estate agents who are like, I don't have a listing or, whatever. you can be starting out, preview some properties. Go and shows are great because they are usually most likely to publicly give the information because they're not occupied or often not occupied. But again, this is what she's doing, right? If she does have listings, she is sharing them on here, right? A good way to showcase your listings, especially if people are, using a Google search to search for properties. Why not position? And you can market this to your clients and say, as part of your marketing proposal, hey, I post on Google, I share regular updates, stuff like that to give you additional SEO exposure, blah, blah, blah. So that is the posting. And again, that goes hand in hand with optimizing your bio and using it to the fullest. Definitely really important. And again, that's how Jessica. So then another thing I'll give you because you're here, Jessica, another thing she does is she actively reviews others. So again, we'll get into this in session 2, but making sure you're responding to people who review you. But then also anytime she's at a business, she's going to give them a review. She brags that her Waffle House review has over 50,000 views. So there is a photo of her with her real estate watermark that's been viewed over 50,000 times because she reviewed another business. So that's kind of another secret tip and trick. She really credits, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. She really credits having a complete Google business profile, posting regularly. So those posts that I just showed you, and commenting and reviewing other businesses are kind of her secret sauce. So making sure if you're having this platform and if you're utilizing it to making sure you're optimizing it, and the posts, I think, is really the secret sauce. So Tom said, how do you add a watermark or logo to your photo? So again, if you go in Canva, so you would upload like a photo of your logo, and then you put it on top of a picture, and then you go to Canva has a tool called background remover. So you would then use that as a background remover. I can see it's probably slightly too arduous for me to go in there right now, but I will record a video of myself doing it, and I will share it when I share this recording. I will share the slides. And there's a handout. I think most of you should have gotten it. I'm going to put it in the chat again. Oop. Nope, don't do that. Come back. So if you guys want to print this out, like I said, if you haven't had time today to follow along and kind of optimize, I would really recommend, especially now when most of us are kind of stuck at home, go through all the things and making sure you're optimizing your profile. Watermark video. All right. Anyone else have any questions? Or I'm also happy. You're so welcome, Holly. Please call me anytime, text me, email me if you guys have specific questions. If you are in Google jail or Google suspension, I would love nothing more than to sidebar with you to see how I can help you, because maybe then it can help others get out of Google jail as well. But hopefully none of you are in Google jail. I am going to stay on. If any of you guys have questions, or like I said, I hope to see you in the future sessions. Actually, I have a couple more slides. Let me get through real quick. Let's go back to Canva. Fun. And actually, maybe since I'm in Canva, I can try and show you the watermark. So let's share back here. All right. So again, making sure you have all the things set up. Again, some top tips and tricks: setting up your profile as thoroughly as possible, using photos strategically, using unique photos, posting regularly in your Google profile. Very, very important, right? For Google and for humans, right? So a human can see your beautiful listing, but again, making sure we're using descriptors, making sure we're giving them the address if it's a public listing, giving them the city, telling them about the house, using those keyword modern farmhouse or whatever you're boasting about the property. Make sure you put it in there, because it cannot necessarily, I can see in the picture that it has 3 garages, but unless you write a 3-car garage, Google may not necessarily translate that information. So again, lastly, staying visible, posting at least 2 times a week is recommended. And last but not least, I would be remiss if I did not actually ask for your business. Like I said, I'm here to contribute and give value to you guys, but at the end of the day, I hope that we can share in your success and use us as well. So we do all the home inspections, septic, pest, mold, you guys know. Please let us know. You can book with us 24/7 online, or call or text. And again, sign up for the next session, making sure, like, this was kind of just the tip of the iceberg. I highly recommend the Google review session. And then 100%. I think you guys are getting some extreme value with the catered in-person Google Ads classes. So please make sure you join us for that. And yeah, like I said, I really appreciate you guys taking the time today. I commend you. I know it's not easy to carve time out of your day, maybe a little easier this time because some of us literally don't have a choice. Sorry, now I'm locked on my thing again. Stop sharing. Go away. How do you know if you're in Google jail? You would know. So if you're in Google jail, there's like a soft suspension where they can still show your profile, but you can't change it. A hard suspension would be they take your Google listing down and you could potentially get locked out of it. Oh, you guys are so sweet. You're so welcome. It's so nice to see some familiar faces back on here. So again, yes, if you guys were suspended on Google, you would definitely know about it. But hopefully this encourages you guys to clean up your Google profiles. Like I said, I'll hang on for just a minute if anyone else has any other questions. Andrea, good question. I get that a lot. In my experience, it will not flag you. I don't think I've gone through multiple phases where I've done kind of campaigns and not gotten flagged. And also, like if you ask 10 people today, you might get 2 today and then someone does it tomorrow. But at 100%, I would go back and ask for past customer reviews. Also, my best tip on asking for reviews, do not ask for reviews without giving your Google business link. I'll show you what I'm talking about and just let me go share my entire screen. So when you are on your business profile, and this works for both your phone and your computer. So when I say share, you get this weird, ugly Google link. So I just clicked on it. So it said it's copied. You got to send them the weird, ugly Google link. Don't tell them to Google you. Don't tell them to find you. They won't do it. You're going to increase your chances like tenfold if you give them your weird, ugly Google link. So I think that's really helpful if you're asking for reviews to do that and send them your actual Google link. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. My contact information, I know Tom is asking for it, but I will send it to everybody. My personal cell phone is this. Our company phone, which you can always get back to me to, is this number. And let me see. Tom, are you still, you're the one who was asking for the watermark, correct? I'm going to show you, I'm going to see if I can do that. So I'm going to file. What do I want to do? Create. I'm going to create, let's do a post, even though it's just the sizing of the photo. So then I'm going to use an upload. So you'd have to like upload the photo, or this can be done on your phone as well. So say I want to use this photo. Great. And then I have all of my brands uploaded already. So I'm going to go find our logo. Here's our logo for our commercial business. And then what you do is you go right here where it says back BG remover. That means background remover. So I let it work its magic for a second. Why did it do that? I duplicated it. And that kind of gives you that watermark illusion, right? So especially if you've got like a name, you would have to have a picture of it, and then you can put it on top of your photo and remove the background. And then that's what I would call a watermark, for lack of a better term. So hopefully that's helpful. Nathan, this was recorded. Yes. So I will definitely share the recording. If you're registered, you'll get it in your email. I will also share the handout. Hide our address. Yeah, let me see if I can go on there, Michelle, really quick and see if I can find it. All right. So I'm in my profile. So I'm going to go to 3 dots, business profile settings. Let's see if I can find my way. Actually, no, that's not what I want. Edit profile. Location. Business location. So this is where, I hit it here. Show business address to customers, and I have it turned off.
Tammy, you're not sharing your screen right now.
Oh, I'm just talking to myself.
Thank you.
You're not
I
in
can't
my room
get my
with me?
unmute to work in time either.
All right. Okay. Let me see. Share screen. Share. All right, appreciate you. Okay, so where I was is I came back here to the profile manager. I go to edit profile. Do. And then location. So I have mine hidden. So if I wanted to expose it, I would toggle this to showing my business address. So
Okay.
I have that not showing. Um, and then like, so if I went over here, this is probably going to show me where I have it. Of course, it's going painfully slow. Oh, it doesn't. So when I created the profile, it should have given me the opportunity to, it asks you for an address. But again, I have that hidden, so it's not showing up there publicly. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, you're so welcome. All right. Any other questions? Lena, how are you? Long time no see.
Kimmy, I have a question for you in
Yeah.
regards to the last session. I can't attend in Hendersonville, but the other one that you have, I think the 18th. Are you gonna consider doing a Zoom or anything like that?
I haven't yet. I need to talk to Sefton because it's kind of like his proprietary system and information. So I'm not quite sure yet if he's willing to have it recorded. But I
Okay.
will ask him and I'll let you know. But as of right now, we don't plan to do a recorded third session. I will probably do a recording of the second session, but the third is TBD. So try and mark your calendar if you can for one of those. That's a good question.
Okay. Thanks. I'm in it for the
You're welcome.
second one.
Perfect. And yes, our caravan, Lena, so excited to see you. If anyone wants to join us on Friday, I am determined to get out of the house. No one can stop me. I'm going caravanning, whether it's 2 degrees outside or not. I have all-wheel drive. I got my King Ranch expedition. We're gonna make it happen. All right, let me see how I can back out of here. All right, everybody. Well, I appreciate you all. I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. I hope you all have a great day. I will definitely send the recording and the slides and the handout. I appreciate you all. Have a good rest of your day. See ya.
Thank you, Kimmy.
You're so welcome.